All right, boys, welcome to the pod. Jared, at this point, you're a mainstay. You might be one of the most visited people to the pod. So,
Indeed.
thanks for coming back.
No prob.
Matt, you only your second appearance, I believe, which is a little disappointing, but I kind of understand. You're a bit of a nervous Nelly on stage, no?
Are you disappointed that I'm here, or are you disappointed that I haven't been here more often?
Disappointed that you haven't been here more often.
Well, you gotta invite me, Brad.
Okay, we'll save this for another day, but I'm assuming it's because you're a bit of a nervous Nelly, even though you're...
He lacks confidence. True.
He lacks confidence, yeah.
People always say that about Matt. Not enough confidence.
When I was a kid, my mom would never hang my art on the fridge, and I think that stuck with me.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I assembled the team here because you guys, like me, are online. I think we share some social media habits, and we're going to talk about social media habits today. So get ready. Everyone's going to show their For You page. Nope. No, we're not doing that. Everyone goes silent. Nope, we're not doing that.
I don't want to bring it up, but we'll get into that. Sorry,
We'll get into that.
I have a note.
Yeah, you made a note of it?
Well, there's something going on with For You pages right now since the right-wing shift. And it's essentially, there's a lot of talk out there that everyone's For You pages for men are mostly goon content for gooning, There's been a big shift.
You said a big shift recently.
It's a goonademic.
I assume that's just what it's always been.
Apparently, it's at higher rates now. And I don't want to get too derailed, start talking about the goonicide. I don't know if you guys know about that.
I have not. But Jared, this is why I bring you on, because you're tapped into internet sources that I am not tapped into.
Yeah.
And this is what I thought too. Is like, so we're all online. We're all, using social media. And I think our common app is Instagram. That's the one that the three of us, communicate on. We're sending, memes, all that stuff, non-goon stuff, but brain rot, the meme culture, the meme jokes. But Jared, I think you're the only one of us that's on TikTok. Matt, you're not on TikTok, no?
Never on TikTok.
Yeah. So Jared, you're on TikTok. You got that perspective, right?
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Matt, what other social do you use? And I include Reddit and YouTube as social media.
YouTube.
YouTube? You don't do Reddit?
No, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. And
what
I
don't
feel
you understand
embarrassed
about
to say
it?
this. I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to use it. Like, I don't know how to maximize the use of it.
I like
I know people get... Yeah, I like it too. There's stuff I find on it, but it's not as seamless, right? Like, it's not... Well,
there's more reading,
it's not
I guess. Like it's
the
more geared
problem.
towards like articles, I suppose,
I like when
It's more
people
like a
find
message
stuff
board.
for me on Reddit. When Jared sends me Reddit stuff, I enjoy that, but I can't find it myself.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know how to find things on Reddit. Like, I started and I followed some groups or whatever you call it. I don't know, Reddits
Subreddits.
or whatever, subreddits. And it was just really hard to find content. I just didn't know, but it felt more like a message board, like old school.
Yeah.
Message board type shit. And I think that's, but I would include Reddit in social media for sure. But so Instagram's the one we share. You guys don't do Twitter or X.
No.
Yeah, you don't X. I'm on X, but I haven't X'd in a while. And
Since the Hail Hitler, or
yeah, no, it was before then. It was before then, but that didn't help.
Didn't help.
Definitely didn't help. I was like, maybe I should just delete this app altogether. But so I did do the shift to, because in the circles that I travel in, the academic science circles, there was a big exodus like 4 months ago from X to Blue Sky. Yeah. So I joined Blue Sky and I'm on there, but I gotta say, it's kind of too nice.
You can't watch anyone get murdered on Blue Sky,
Yeah, there's none
Can't
of that.
watch.
And it's all very, so far it's all very, like supportive and all very much like,
Yeah.
fuck X.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we're all over here, isn't it? Oh, forget that. And so it's kind of like, I don't know. It just feels a little
One-sided.
Yeah, I don't know. Little one-sided. And I mean, X is one-sided as well in the other way, but X is also the Wild West. So, I mean, there's something fascinating about that. But okay, so those are the major ones. And I think that's kind of broadly the major ones. Would you guys consider YouTube social media?
No.
No, I don't think
When
so.
I'm not doing anything social when I'm looking at metal detecting videos of old farmsteads for 3
Yeah.
hours at a time.
Like, exactly.
That's just me, baby. That's just me by myself
Yeah,
there.
but when you're just scrolling Instagram, it's just you.
But it's
There's a
long
difference
form.
between
I think it's like
yeah, it's still social
it's
media.
long form, and there's not a powerful algorithm behind it feeding you. Like I
Are
wish
you
a lot of the
kidding
time,
me? YouTube?
compared to like
There's
TikTok
a
or something,
insanely powerful algorithm behind
it's-
that.
it's showing me stuff all the time. It's like I don't want like. It's like showing me. I don't know, like stuff maybe I'm not into as much. Like I watched one
Don't
gun
kid
video,
yourself.
and it was like.
I disagree.
Watch-
100%. My feed is every single video. I could park myself in front of my computer for hours. You know how much metal detecting videos I can watch on there? There's like thousands and thousands of hours.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that you could watch metal detecting
Yeah.
videos for thousands of hours. I also don't doubt that there's another rube out there making that content for you.
Thousands of them.
Thousands of them.
Don't get me started
But
on
no, I mean-
mudlarking. Mudlarking is if you haven't gone down that rabbit hole, my God.
Is that part
There's-
of the Tunisphere?
No, it's what it's in the they do most of the in the on the Thames River because it's a tidal river. When it goes down, you find all these
It's
I
pronounced
have
the
seen
Thames.
mudlarking. Yeah, it's kind
you
of.
find all these old trinkets
Yeah.
in the mud. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
An earring
Okay.
from a prostitute that died in like the 16th century
Mostly clay
Yeah.
pipes and hairpins.
from the prostitutes.
Well,
that were
Whoever,
chucked into the Thames.
whatever.
most likely.
Yeah.
I think you're kidding yourself if you think that YouTube doesn't have a powerful algorithm behind it. Like, are you kidding me? That's what all these things do. And that's why I consider it social media, is because it's decentralized, it's people posting, it's that, in the spirit of social media, let's say, it's, people posting. Anyone can post, anyone can watch, anyone can comment. To me, it's social media. I know that YouTube has a powerful algorithm because I can see it trying to red pill me all the time. YouTube is
It will do
always
that.
trying to red pill me.
I think all
I
social
got-
media will try to red pill you at some point.
It knows our demographic, 30, 38, 39-year-old white guy from
Yeah.
from North America, Europe. It's gonna try and goon you, and it's gonna try and red pill you. But it is like I see it on YouTube because I think all of us too. We probably have the same sort of, let's say, political media diet, political persuasion. Maybe in the center, maybe a little right, maybe a little left, but pretty firmly in the center. So I'm watching. The things that I've subscribed to are like the Young Turks and like David Pakman, and I don't know if you know that one, but like
Yeah.
these kind of things that are kind of sensible. Sam Harris, it's like all this like, let's be sensible, and then every once in a while there's always this video.
Like a Tim Pool video being like,
Yeah, Tim Pool. or
DEI
not
is
even that.
ruining whatever. It's like, thanks.
You know what the one that always
tooth-wearing
gets me, because
fuckwad.
I also have a lot of sports, so it'll always be something about the WNBA and equal pay. And it's like, so it's like, oh, okay, sports, whatever, it comes on and stuff, and you're watching it, and then all of a sudden it's just like, okay, you're getting a little too angry about the WNBA, and then you like start seeing the other content that's there, and it's like, yeah, this is the red pill, this is
Yeah.
this is the thing. But the thing that one of the things that prompted me to bring this episode together was a study that I found. This is a science podcast, so let's make it scientific, where it was linking irritability mainly to social media use, or that was the question they were looking at. Because I guess previous studies, the data is fairly strong at this point. Social media use and depression-like symptoms, pretty correlated. Off the bat, I think that's something that we could all kind of agree with. No?
Totally. Whether
No.
it's depression or like anxiety.
Not for me.
Sure.
It's a giggle machine. It's a giggle machine for me. It just brings me nothing but pure joy.
I consume a lot of news, I think.
I'm
like, oof.
Instagram
like,
for me is just jokes.
Yeah.
Jokes.
Okay, and I could say I would agree that like on a personal level, I don't think that it's influenced me in a negative way. But I think that we'd be maybe again kidding ourselves if we think that there isn't some kind of detrimental impact to our social media use. But
I think also go ahead. But I think like, it depends on like your level of like media literacy. And like how much consuming like the same amount of like content can like fuck you up, as it does just like keep feeding you the exact same thing you interact with. And then you're just, if you're a idiot, you lock yourself in some sort of echo chamber where like you're always right and you're just reconfirming everything you believe.
There's that for sure. And I think that the three of us would probably try and be aware of that. But I mean, I think it's like, I think about it in terms of like advertising, right? Like let's say before social media, that was the thing that we heard about in like the 90s and early 2000s, right? Like advertising, the ads they're getting you. And I always thought myself like, I'm probably immune to advertising. Like it's not going to get me. I'm not going to fall for that. But I mean, the science and the data is kind of there that it's like, we're all kind of monkey brains, and you can, at some level it affects you, right? Like it gets you at some level.
I want it to get me.
That's kind of what you want it to get you?
I've never had custom tailored advertisements for the coolest things that I didn't even know I needed. It's awesome. Most things I get now are awesome, and they're off the internet, and that's because somebody fed me an ad. I'll drink it up. It's great. This is a fantastic time to be alive. There's all sorts of neat stuff out there.
Fair enough, man. And I get that. And I think that's true. But would you say broadly, though, like, I guess what I was saying when I said we could all agree on that, I was thinking that this broader societal impact, let's say, or do you think that overall, would you agree overall that like social media use contributing to anxiety, depression, that kind of thing, like that's not far-fetched?
No, I think for lots of people it's a big problem, but I think for me, if you use it correctly, it's just it's a fun little thing that, with all sorts of good things to find there. It's a magical place. But for lots of people, I think it could be pretty dark. My Instagram feed was giving me stuff I didn't like, and it was kind of driving me nuts. So I found that you could just say not interested, and I went through my entire feed and just clicked not interested on it. And now I do that every few months, and
you purge.
You can also reset your entire algorithm on Instagram, which I did recently.
Yeah, I don't know, it keeps it fresh.
Because it was just showing me like a bunch of stuff. Like, I don't want this.
Yeah. My morbid curiosity, I clicked on somebody, getting blown up or run over or something like that. And then the dark lords of the algorithm just gave me more. And then all of a sudden I was seeing, brutal violence every day. That's no good.
I think, well, like from my experience, I think it does like add to like my anxiety at some extent, because like I just consume, like I said, a lot of news, like specifically on TikTok. And I'm with whatever, whether it's like the tariff stuff, like all the shit going on in, the global state of everything is like a lot to take in, if you're like plugged into it and you're just getting bombarded with people's, content. And there's nothing you can really do. It's not even, I'm watching stuff in the States. It's like, I don't even fucking live there. And I'm like getting secondhand anxiety about shit.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a problem for me.
And then I'm reading comments of just like idiot, like I think that adds to my anxiety of being like, holy fuck, people are this like dull.
Yeah, but all those comments are probably bots.
I mean, that's the other thing too. They are mostly bots.
I also have a feeling that
I do try to avoid comments though, especially on political stuff.
I need to know. I need to know. I have to know what people think of this fucking thing. Like I have to know.
If I do it, and I mean, this is where, you're talking TikTok. This is where Twitter X is like the worst.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's, it's just now, especially now. And I have noticed a shift in it, like, and I've definitely like tuned out of it more. Yeah, if I do look at it, it's like I look at the first 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that, and then it's like I can't help but think, these are just bots, But I feel like though, like us, even just like what you're describing, what we're describing here is, I don't think that's I don't know. Maybe this is arrogant to say, but I don't know if it's the average person.
I don't think so.
If they're that disciplined on it. I mean, and not that like, I don't know, each of us has our own vices. I don't think we're all, super disciplined, We're not waking up at 6 a.m. and doing 100 push-ups, but...
Speak for yourself, Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
I do 1,000 push-ups.
3 sets.
Right, and then the cold tub,
3 sets,
because I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah,
and then I sun my testicles.
Yeah.
Right. No, not your perineum?
Well, both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get them both at the same time. Because I'm a busy man. I'm out there hustling and creating online courses.
I just developed a new undergarment that has sunlight built into the crotch of the undergarment.
I'm just wearing crotchless panties, actually, is what I want.
I'm constantly sunning. So, I'm on the next level, bro. You check your vibrations.
My T levels are out of this world.
You got to keep it warm. You got to keep it dry. That's what I always say.
more great practical
and by it, you mean
advice from Matt.
Yes, of course. Exactly. Keep it warm, keep it dry.
Exactly. So the thing is, in the study, the things that they looked at was, the different apps, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, I believe. That's where it was cut at. And so they looked at people, obviously demographics. I think it was like so it's close to 40,000 people. Online survey, all self-reported, so there's those caveats with it. But close to 40,000 people, 42,000 people. And then, of course, ask the usage. So the usage, first off, is do you use it once a day, multiple times a day, once a week, that kind of thing. So I think we're all in the multiple times a day category.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find your usage? What's your usage? My usage is, I think I average, so my phone is counting social as email and like all this other stuff. And it's about 2 hours and 40 minutes a day. But if I look just at Instagram, which I would say is like for sure the most used app, I think it's like an hour and a half a day.
I got two.
Those are rookie numbers. Shocked. You got to bump those up.
I got 2 hours and 31 minutes. Or
on Instagram or just social?
Instagram. But
I have 27 minutes on Instagram, but
today or average?
Yeah,
I'm talking
average 27.
Okay, let's hear TikTok.
Like, it's not giving my average, but it says 2.5 hours on Saturday.
Yeah, so there you go. Okay.
An hour on fucking Friday, nothing Wednesday, Thursday, because I delete it. I try to delete it during the week because I find it like so fucking addicting.
So you actually delete the app?
Yeah. And then it's like it's a little weekend treat because it's like I find I'm just like, what am I doing? It's like burnt my brain out. My brain feels exhausted from like looking at shit, and I'm like, I gotta delete this fucking thing,
But yeah, you go back to the well. You keep dipping back in.
Yeah, because then I feel like my brain, when I see it, my brain's like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, get that fix.
It fires up. Like I think you do get a dopamine hit from it.
Scratch that itch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, from having a nice scroll hung over on the couch on a Sunday or Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So do you
or a Monday if it's a long weekend, I guess.
If it's a long weekend, of course. But so then do you think about it like it's like, ooh, I got some time, like now like, ooh, I'm gonna squirrel away. Oh, I got some time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
take a 40-minute dump on
and
TikTok.
Yeah.
Guilt free.
Okay.
Blast my frontal lobe with content.
Sit on the toilet till your feet go numb.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the next thing is like that's my I look at it, it's like an hour and a half. That's a lot. For a day, I feel like, and it's a bit shocking to see that number, but I'm not overly surprised. I'm like, okay.
What's the average?
I knew it was gonna.
Did you say that?
For people, I don't know. They didn't have in the study I was looking at, didn't have an average time. It was just those were the categories. It was like never or once a day, multiple times a day, and then like most of the day. So it was like and I'm sure they gave the survey participants more direction on what most of the day meant, but those were the broad categories.
And sorry if I missed that. I was on my phone. I kind of zoned out.
Yeah,
I was looking at my phone while you were talking.
It's the weekend.
Yeah, it is the weekend. On average, people spend 95 minutes a day on TikTok.
Yeah, okay, so that's an hour and a half.
But if they're correlating this to depression or mental health issues, like there's every single other factor in the world is probably causing people to be more distressed and unhappy with their situation. So
sure. So the things that they looked at in this was use. So just that use, and correlated to irritability, and then I think some other depression like symptoms, or irritability is known to be, something that can lead to depression.
I could see like the depression side coming from people, like if you're like following a lot of influencer content. Right?
Yeah, so they didn't get into that level of content. They didn't break it down into that level, but they did look at how politically engaged you are, and what your level of political engagement. And I think that it was like, I'll try and find it here. I have it pulled up, but I believe when I read through it, it was like political engagement didn't really shift the needle that much. And for sure, political affiliation, and again, it was American, so it's like Republican or Democrat, didn't shift the needle. But it was like, I think it was like, if you watch, I'll try and find it, but if you followed the news even just a little bit, it actually like decreased. The correlation was decreased in terms of social media use and irritability. We had 3 factors there, so it was a bit convoluted. But the things that, other than that, political affiliation, the other thing that was interesting that they looked at was posting or not. So whether if you post, does it increase irritability or decrease? And that was kind of interesting, because it was like for Twitter, if you posted, it increased your chances of, or the likelihood that you're irritable, or the strength of the correlation between that and irritability. But if you posted on Instagram and Facebook, maybe, also TikTok, maybe, it was a slight decrease.
Interesting.
And so to me, that kind of made sense, because it was like
less people screaming at you.
Exactly, and more of like what Matt's talking about is, all the other ding dongs that are looking at, metal detecting, and it's like, oh, I found a nice community, and and you get that more on TikTok, Instagram, rather than Twitter, also, which is like just toxic screaming at each other.
Yeah, like I don't post anything, but I could see, like, if you're posting on Instagram, like, you're probably, like, people who are seeing it are going to be your friends.
For a lot of people, I think so.
I think for like most people, right? Unless you've got like a following over probably like 1,000 followers or something, right. You're not going to post a picture of your dog and they're going to be like, hey, you're not going to get 1,000 people calling you gay because you have a small dog or whatever it is, because you own a doodle,
No, you'll just get your close circle of friends on the WhatsApp chat being like, what was that?
Yeah.
But no, for sure. Yeah, and that to me made sense, right? And then it was like, in terms of use, it was like, I think there was a pretty clear, like, the more you use, the more irritable you'll be.
Sure.
Which, again, makes sense.
Are there any positive effects?
In this study, like I said, no, just that the correlation of posting and irritability wasn't as strong. Or it was like decreased. I want to find so the questions that they kind of asked was like, how closely do you follow the news, politics, current affairs? So it could be like not closely at all, not very close, somewhat close, very closely, that kind of thing. And so it was like that, I would have thought would have had more of an effect, but it didn't seem like it had much of an effect. And what was the irritability questions? So here we go. Please indicate how often you felt or behaved in the following ways in the last 2 weeks, including today. I have been grumpy.
Yeah.
That sigh indicated
Maybe
you
a little
seemed
burnt
grumpy,
out.
right?
Like I said, too much wild,
Okay. Well,
news going on globally. It's been like, ugh.
I have been feeling like I might snap.
Nope.
No.
That seems pretty extreme. Other people have been getting on my nerves.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Things have been bothering me more than they normally do. I have been feeling irritable.
Nope. Nope.
I'd say no.
This is self-reported and also in public. So I don't know. Maybe you guys are masking a little bit. But those are the kind of questions. And then there was actually a depression scale that they did, which I don't have access to the actual question.
I'd say maybe more irritable. Because once a week, I'll just like go on like a tirade at Anna about things.
About the world.
About a doom and gloom tirade.
Yeah.
Be like, here's all the things that are fucked right now.
Okay, well then here's a question then. Do you think that comes mostly from social media or from podcasts? And would you consider podcasts social media?
I guess they would be. I consume a lot of podcasts. My work allows me to have my headphones on the entire time, so I get a lot of podcasts downloaded
It's nice
into
your
my
boss
brain.
lets you do that.
Yeah, it's really nice of him.
Misha's
Appreciate
a
it.
nice boss.
Misha's a really cool guy.
Yeah. It tunes
Would you
them
consider
up
it
too.
social media? I don't know.
I don't know
I don't
either.
think because you don't engage with it the same way you engage with other stuff, right?
But it
It's
does
a
have the same.
one-sided-
It does kind of have the
It's
same
close
effect.
to YouTube though.
Yeah.
It's close to YouTube minus
like,
the
if I
visual
don't-
component, but
I just
no comment.
I listen to like I go and find podcasts I want. I don't think I've ever like clicked on a suggested podcast.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah,
Like the
and
only way I
we're-
find new podcasts or something, like I'll have like a guest will be on a podcast. And I'm like, oh, they sound interesting or whatever. They're funny. And then I'll go search them out. So that's like right? Like you're finding your other stuff like organically.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, Spotify, I guess, recommends you stuff, but I don't think I've ever. Yeah, I've never
They
done a
recommend me
Spotify.
shit music, and I don't know what they do for podcasts.
I love
mind the music
Spotify recommendations. They give
Really?
me
I fucking hate
great
it.
stuff. Yeah.
It just
Yeah, but Jared, that's because your taste is poor.
because I'll be
Your
like,
taste in music is
Yeah.
poor
Yeah.
and uneducated.
my issue is like I'll be like, oh, I like this artist, and it's a woman, and they'll be like, well, here's a bunch of other female art. It's like, no, that's not what I like.
I think with Spotify though, you got to train your feed.
Yeah, you
'Cause I
gotta
have,
like songs.
You gotta like songs, and once you've done that, like, yeah, because I have like a bank of like 2,000 liked songs, and the recommendations, like the Discover Weekly, that kind of thing, is pretty good.
Yeah, mine's amazing.
If I listen to it, I get at least 2 or 3 songs. So I'm like, yeah, that's going on the list.
Spotify's been the coolest thing I've found in this new technological age that I've gotten the most out of. The recommendations. I find two new artists probably a week that I really dig, and that's amazing. Before that, I would go years before finding something like
How
new
is
and
your?
awesome.
And I would absolutely. Wow, actually, let me walk that back. I don't know about absolutely, but on my phone, when I look at the stats, it was like Spotify counts as social media. I kind of see it, but yeah,
I don't think
from
so.
an algorithm point of view, it's feeding. It's the same kind of technology, but yeah, it's not as social in terms of like commenting and things. And that's why I would.
And
put
music's
YouTube
not
in a
social
separate
media,
category.
right? Like it's
Exactly. But I would put YouTube in a separate category from podcasts simply because of the commenting.
Sure.
You know, like there's like that's that distinction. But what was I going to say? Yeah, no, the Spotify thing is amazing. But Matt, I was going to ask this though. Your music listening behavior, do you listen to as many albums or is it all just songs?
Just
Because
songs. Songs.
Yeah, I definitely stopped listening to albums.
If I find
is
find a song that I've from an artist I haven't heard before, and I really like it, I probably will go check out their album.
Yeah. Like Kendrick's album like came out. I was like, oh, I'll listen to that whole thing front to back in one sitting.
The Dust Collector,
Look at
Dust
this guy
Collector just
trying to
came out
sound
with a
like he
real
knows,
banger.
Music. And look
I
at
was-
you
I
trying to
was-
plug your band.
Yeah.
Dust Collectors are super hot right now.
They're super hot right now. I did listen to your album. I will admit that that's an album that I listened to.
I know we have our metrics, and we can see that Germany had one stream.
It was me, baby. It was me. Actually, no, it couldn't have been me. I was not in Germany.
Oh yeah,
anymore.
you're in Belgium. Same thing.
Somebody else.
One stream out of both.
Somewhere over there.
Surprisingly,
was
Africa
me.
has got a lot of streams. We get some strange places. Yeah, it's super weird. North Korea.
This. What? North Korea doesn't even have the internet.
No, I'm just kidding. It was North Korea.
This podcast gets a lot of listens out of China and India that I wasn't expecting.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because I've talked a lot of shit about China, and Teresa's lab group, my wife's lab group, my beautiful wife Teresa, her lab group is collaborating with China, and they go there sometimes. And so the discussion
Wow.
came up once where it was like, oh, well, what if we got a chance to go to China? I was like, I can't go to China. I've talked way too
Speak
much
for
shit
yourself,
about them on the
Brad.
internet. They're gonna stop me at the border right away. And just be like,
CCP on
nah.
top, baby.
Yeah,
Xi
they got
Jinping
you.
for 100 years. Let's go.
The Winnie the Pooh. Well, yeah, no. But it's interesting though, because I think getting back to the Spotify thing, it's like that fact of like I'm now into songs and not albums, I think says something again about this whole like algorithm derived thing, in that it's like you're getting
Bites, small form content
Bites,
versus the entire
exactly.
picture of content.
exactly that's exactly the words that I was looking for.
Like,
'Cause
I've
it is
watched-
like, and I think that means something.
Like
I-
I've watched
I-
whole like portions of shows on TikTok in 5-minute clips. Because people will
Yeah.
just put, and I'll be like, I'll watch part of a movie and then be like, oh, I'll watch the next part. And then I'm like, what am I fucking doing? I should just go download this goddamn movie. Like, what am I, or if it's a movie, yeah, it's stupid.
Well, everybody's attention spans have gotten a lot shorter, and everything's kind of changed. So it's Spotify's, yeah, you're listening to single songs, but I've also noticed like we put out a couple albums, and initially that was just the thing artists did for the longest time. You get enough songs, and then you make a full length album, and you release it. And we were chatting with our label, and they're like, "That's just not the way of the world anymore. You basically now it's all about singles."
Drip
You wanna
feed
just
singles.
drip feed singles, because nobody's going to listen to a full length album. So you're just actually the guy that was talking to me about it said you're basically wasting tracks, because people are going to listen to one song or two songs, and all the other songs you put on the album are just going to get no plays whatsoever. Whereas if you release the same amount of songs in drips and drops, like Jared was saying, they get way more listens, and you can actually get people to actually listen to the entirety of the album. But it just takes a hell of a lot longer.
Right, but I guess, and that makes sense. Sure, like that's the marketplace that exists now. But I guess what I'm saying though is that like you're missing something from, and this, maybe sounds superficial or like the old music fan, yelling at clouds or whatever. But it's like sitting down to make an album of songs that has like a through line,
Yeah.
and like continuity and stuff like that. That's different than just putting out songs. There's a difference in the information that's being put out there and the intention of the information that's being put out there. And I feel like you're losing something. And
If you make concept albums.
yeah, but now that's not possible. Or now it's like, it's not that it's not
Like
possible.
listening to
you can still
Comfortably
do it, but
Numb,
less
like
people
by
are gonna-
singles only would be like a big,
No, I think
you'd be missing out.
Yeah, exactly.
You still do the exact
but-
same
and-
thing. You do the exact same thing. You can still have a through line of your album, but you just release everything in singles all the way until you've released the full length album, and then you release the full length album.
You do them in
And you
order.
still can have, yeah, and you can still have a through line through the whole thing. That's what we're
Sure,
doing.
yeah. And I mean, I guess that, like, yeah, and I get what you're. I know what you're saying as someone in a band who's trying to get views on your stuff.
Check
I
out the
get
Dust
that.
Collectors, dustcollectorsmusic.com.
We're gonna edit that
Yeah.
because
No free
this
plugs.
podcast, this podcast is totally independent
On all your
So-
streaming services.
The only way you could get the only way you can plug something on this podcast is to plug paying for this podcast. Give me money. But you see what I'm saying though, like in this larger philosophical point about like it changes the nature of the information, or the information distribution. And I think that there is something to getting information in that in small bites like that, rather than taking time to get a whole piece of context or a whole larger, context in which
Sure.
that bit of information sits in.
And it's like, I think it's like the same way, like if you're on Reddit like I rarely, not, yeah, I mean, a lot of the times I just look at headlines of an article,
As
and
we
then I'll
all
go
do.
in the comments. It'll be like somebody will just like pluck out the important parts, and I'll read those, and then I'll digest some comments. Not
Yeah.
as informatively, fulfilling as reading an entire article or something.
It makes sense. Here, I happen to have this handy. And it's a quote from Carl Sagan. You all know Carl Sagan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's the drummer for AC/DC.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Also wrote several books about science and physics. But okay, I'll read the larger quote. But I mean, it's all pertinent to the discussion. But I think the last part of it is the most. But I have a foreboding of an America in my children's or grandchildren's time when the United States is a service and information economy, when nearly all the manufacturing industries have slipped away to other countries, when awesome technological powers are in the hands of very few and no one representing the public interest can even grasp the issues, when the people have lost the ability to set their own agendas or knowledgeably question those in authority, when clutching our crystals and nervously consulting our horoscopes, our critical faculties are in decline, unable to distinguish between what feels good and what's true, we slide almost without noticing back into superstition and darkness. The dumbing down of America is most evident in the slow decay of substantive content in the enormously influential media, the 30-second sound bites, now down to 10 seconds or less, lowest common denominator programming, credulous presentations on pseudoscience and superstition, but especially a kind of celebration of ignorance.
Yikes.
Ironically,
prescient.
I saw some guy on TikTok go over that entire quote.
There you go.
Like the other week. So that's funny.
This came up in a group chat that I'm in.
Yeah,
with,
he's right.
with
He's bang
people.
on. But what year did he write that?
I think it was like 90. It was in the 90s, I believe.
That's crazy.
I have the book that it's from. I can't remember which one it is called, but yeah. I think it was in the 90s. Yeah, and he was
15 years before social media even became even was like birthed, really.
The other book that I think is interesting on this one that I haven't finished, but I keep and I've been telling you about this for probably a year, and I still haven't finished the book. Is Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman, I think it is. But it's like it talks about information, and it riffs on the very beginning, the other quote from, I think is Marshall McLuhan or something, but it's like the message, the medium is the message.
Mm-hmm.
And how it's like it really depends on the medium in terms of what information you can get. And this is, I think, a really fascinating idea. And another book that I just started and haven't finished yet, Yuval Noah Harari, you know that guy?
Yep.
Wrote Sapiens and the other ones.
Guns, Germs, and Steel.
No.
No,
Not the same guy, different guy.
No.
Anyways,
Different guy, totally different guy. But nice try though, trying to sound smart like you read books.
I really thought those were the same two authors.
Anyway, his latest book is called Nexus, and it's about information networks and like how information has like shaped, human society and blah, 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 all this. But he has a really interesting idea that I want to put out to you guys. I'm sure you'll have thoughts on it. I'm assuming you'll agree. Is he's got, I can't remember exactly how he put it. It was like there's this naive view of information. And one of the things about the naive view of information is that like good information will just like bubble to the surface. So like what these guys like Rogan and Musk and stuff are like, oh, if we just anyone can say everything online. The good ideas, the free market of ideas, like everything, the good ones will just like naturally come to the surface. And Yuval is like, no, it doesn't work that way, because good ideas and good information requires effort. Fact checking,
Right.
Doing the research, like doing the info, like that takes time and takes effort. And so therefore it is more costly. Good information is more costly. So just opening up the fire hose of like, here's all the information, and and assuming that there's something that takes time and effort to curate and come up is just going to somehow
No.
come to the top is ridiculous. Yeah.
And
I think
sorry, go ahead.
we're kind of in the Wild West phase of these new algorithms that are gaming our minds, and I think, well, I'm at least hopeful for. Well, I'm not hopeful for it. I think it's inevitable. There's going to be a lot of damage that's done, and we're going to see it in the younger generations and we're going to start to see differences that we can draw straight lines to these types of technologies. And I think there's going to be a big waking up phase of us realizing how these things are affecting us. And my hope is that in the future we will have my personal dream is I want an AI assistant. And you see that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix? Did you ever see that one? Where he's got
I'm aware of it.
He's got basically a Scarlett Johansson AI.
You want to fall in love with your phone?
No, I want the voice to be.
fall in love with your vape. I want the AI powered vape. He can.
I want the voice. I want the voice to be Silvio from Sopranos, and he calls me boss, and he's always scheming and helping me out.
An AI consigliere.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Dude, Matt,
but I want one.
now,
But I want one.
100%
But
easy.
I'm thinking that this AI could go
Technology's
beyond, and it could also, steer me through this digital world and protect me from
Matt.
all of
It's here.
these
Trust me.
nightmares. I don't know. The AIs don't know me like I want them to know me yet.
Well, you're not engaging with them enough.
want-
But what you're saying though too is like, I want to be protected from this thing, so
But
let
I
me
want-
hand
yeah,
over the
let-
keys
let-
to the
yeah.
thing.
That's right. I don't think there's any other choice.
Yeah. I think you're
I
right,
think
though.
there is another choice.
Like there's going to be like damage, and people are figuring that out. But I don't think it's
Once-
the Wild West
I
anymore.
think once AI is turned on and is coming after me, the only thing that's going to protect me from it is more of it.
Well, so it's
yeah,
not.
so you just want to be a simp. You're just going to simp up
Yeah,
to big
for
AI
Sylvia.
and be like, okay.
100%. I think AI would make
Let
my
me
life
take it.
so much better. I need all the help I can
So-
get.
Like I said, so it's not the Wild West anymore, because I think that like all social media now, it's like it is being skewed like right wing. Because
Not all of it.
well,
you haven't been on Blue Sky.
yeah,
Let me tell
yeah,
you.
except for Blue
It's
Sky, right? Because I mean, right
pretty
now, like there has
liberal.
been like a shift, honestly, in, like the last month.
Yeah, but that's because 6 guys own it.
Yeah,
and they're
that's what
all-
I'm saying, right? So it's not the Wild West anymore, where there was like
No.
here's a bunch of apps and there's like a whole bunch of different social media platforms to engage with. Like it's becoming like a monoculture of these large
Yeah.
tech companies that control it and control the algorithms and can push
And
you
control the information.
and control the information. And then you also have like Matt, if you want AI to engage with all the time, like Facebook just launched all of these AI bots into Facebook and into into Facebook and Instagram, right? And they're just AI accounts, and they're there for people to engage with, because what their I guess bet is that if you flood it with all these AIs, they're going to engage with average Joe's social media and be like, nice post, like your post. And then people get that dopamine hit that they're going to be able to get, like where their post got 30 likes,
you're
now
gonna
it's
make
going to
'em
get
post more.
300 likes from all these AI bots. And these AI bots will just reinforce what you're posting, right?
Wait, so you're saying that Facebook and purposefully let
Meta
out
has
their own
yeah,
bots?
they did. They peeled it back because there was a bit of backlash against it.
This is confirmed? I haven't heard
100% has
this.
happened 2 weeks ago.
It's on Instagram, so I have to tell you, if you go to the Dust Collectors Instagram and you go through the comments, I would say on each one of the comment sections, there's at least 2 bots, and they're so obvious. There's
Yeah.
hey, this is amazing, I love it. Have you thought about this marketing, blah 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 blah, or something like that?
Right. So
Yeah, I get all that
those are
shit
like
too.
marketing bots, but now the social media platform itself has its own highly trained AI bots to engage with your
That
content.
aren't going to obviously trying to sell you something.
Yeah,
they're just going to
they're
try
just
to
there
get
to
you
fucking
to
fillet
engage
you.
more.
Yeah,
Oh.
wait a minute. Now I'm in.
was
Now
doing
I'm
it.
in.
Good
The
pose.
future
Now we're
is
back,
friendly,
yeah,
I say.
whoa.
Yes.
Yeah, now we're back to the Her scenario where Matt has that
Yeah,
angry
exactly.
Italian man whispering in his ear.
He's loyal though.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
of
it's,
course.
yeah.
Of course.
So it's not the Wild West anymore. It's becoming like a highly controlled and manipulated system.
I think that's a good point, actually, in that it's the illusion of even just that something that like Elon Musk will say of like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a free speech, like let all the ideas, the free marketplace of ideas. I feel like that is an illusion. Like
For sure. Like
somebody's always got their hands
X
on the scale
banned
here.
a strip club in Vancouver's Twitter account because they have like a billboard. It's not number 5. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of the strip club.
I'm surprised. I would have figured you would know all the ones.
It's not
in
my
Vancouver.
favorite one in Vancouver. You have to take an elevator, and I don't care for that. But yeah, they put funny stuff on their like billboard all the time, and they put something about, the U.S. buying Canada. It was against that,
Yeah.
and they got their fucking account blocked. This is a strip club.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like we've seen, there's all those stories too about like Musk, like saying, "Oh, it's a free speech," and then he bans the guys that talk shit on him. Like so, there's that. But I think even in just a bigger, sort of meta scale, it's all being skewed in some way. Like it's not this even. No matter. Even if it wasn't a guy like Elon Musk at the top, like there's going to be some bias. There's going to be like the algorithm is going to be trained in a way. Like it's totally not this free thing that we think it is, but we all I feel like that illusion still persists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, have you heard about dead internet theory?
What's that?
Like this, it came out like people started talking about it maybe like 5-6 years ago, something like that, where like as bots came out and it's just become more and more evident, like you're talking about, that it's like something like 60% internet could just be bots interacting with each other and interacting with people.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of this engagement you think you're having is not happening. Right? And it's slowly just going to become that. Like the internet we know now and social media is going to be like completely different in probably like 5 years. And it's just going to be like a useless hunk of garbage,
which might actually be a good thing. Like, do you think people would?
But it would be replaced. It would be just
disengage. Or?
No, I think it would just be replaced with something else. People are.
I mean, so
follow me on Blue Sky.
So when TikTok got banned in the U.S., right, for 24 hours,
for half a minute, yeah.
Right, but it pushed people over to this another. Like people started leaving TikTok to go to a full-on Chinese government app that is like TikTok called Red Note or like She's Out.
They're just
and like 100%. And then all these people on TikTok are interacting with all these people in China, and they're like, wait, China looks actually kind of sick right now. Like comparatively, like people like showing their apartments, like, yeah, I pay like $500 a month for this. I don't, I own a house. I didn't need a credit check and all this sort of stuff. And like. Yeah. And so it kind of
they
backfired.
Don't tell you that you don't need a credit check because you
have a social credit score. They also didn't. Also, people didn't, and that's the other thing. And then so there was like the inverse. People like China actually rules. It's like, well, no, you're not getting any of the bad parts about China from this app because it is a government-controlled app.
Yeah.
Right. But it was just interesting because people instantly left that, and out of spite for the government, like, well, fuck you. I will go download the most Chinese app available.
The People's app.
The People's app. Xi Jinping on top. CCP for 100 years.
Yeah.
It is weird, though, because it's like, I don't know. It does. When it first came out, Twitter, blah, 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 all this, the public square, the new public square, like, I get all that. Like
Twitter, when it came out, was like just people being, it was like Ashton Kutcher being like, eating an Asian salad with crispy wontons.
But Twitter became like really like in terms of
Arab Spring.
From what I understand, that kind of stuff and like journalism stuff, and actually that's even the last main use of
that was the last time
Twitter.
I used it. Was around that time when it was like, oh, this is like the quickest way to get news. Like you can get news updates like as it's happening. Like, and I think Arab Spring it became their like number one way to communicate, right? Because they shut down all other modes of communication.
Stuff. Yeah. For me, it was Ukraine war. Like, I got a great list of journalists and people reporting on that, and I followed it on X, and it's like that was, and that's basically all I use it for now, is that and a couple other things, but, So I think it was like it made sense at the time, but this idea like now it feels like it's like people are so invested in it, like it's like. I almost feel like you know, the visceral reaction like you were talking about, where it's like, you're gonna shut down my app. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna add a spot. You know, like it's like there's some kind of like, I don't know. It feels way more important than it should for what it is. And maybe it is, again, like we're using it in different ways. Because I agree with you, Matt, like what you said at the beginning, where it's like, it's a giggle, it's a laugh. Like that's Instagram. Like I don't post on it. I try and make posts for the podcast, but I'm terrible at, you know, doing that kind of marketing, whatever. But
And I
it's
intentionally made it.
I just look at it. You know?
I intentionally made it a giggle fest. Like I when I was younger, I used to think that I had to watch all the news because it was my, at the very least, I needed to
Your duty.
I needed to
be
bear
informed.
witness.
Yeah.
And now after the world's gotten so dark and stuff, I can't. I have to really limit how much I expose
where I'm
myself
at
to,
now,
because
is I'm
it's
just trying to, like,
you know, it's
whatever.
pretty dark out there. So I actively try to keep my Instagram like very lighthearted and funny. And I'm doing it for you guys. I'm doing it for you guys. You need to understand, like, I'm mining Instagram to give you the sweetest, funniest things I can find. Like, I feel like I'm putting in work for the people that are closest to me.
I do feel that way too, where I'm just like, oh yeah, the boys are gonna like this one.
Yeah, I'm giving you little
know,
presents.
It's like, when I find a good
And
one,
I think,
it's
I
like,
think that is, and I like when I think about like when I used to like
there's a real social
yeah.
aspect to our fucking Instagram
That's right.
group. Is
That's right.
like when I
pretty
used to
prime.
like Instagram the
Although
most.
there's some stuff that's too hot for
Yeah.
the for
Yeah,
all the boys.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Instagram was the best, I think, when it was just photos.
Isn't
And
it
I was
just?
like, oh, I'd like
yes,
to see my
videos.
friends'
Yeah,
photos.
videos.
Like that was nice.
Yeah.
That seemed way less gnarly.
Yeah, it's definitely more gnarly.
Yeah.
But do you see what I'm saying? Where it's like there does feel like there's like this, like some people are like so tied to it, and I get that some people are financially tied to it, like it's their, you know, but that's a very few. Like I feel
even,
like it's like the one, like 99% of all the money being made on social media is being made by 1% of the users. I think I have no data on that. That's just my you know, speculation,
Yeah.
my feeling.
But even that,
right?
like, it's tough 'cause,
But
like-
there still seems like a visceral reaction to people like, don't take away my TikTok.
Well, it's
don't
like
take
giving a
away-"
whole bunch of people
And I think that
nicotine and
speaks to
then
the addiction.
taking it away from
Yeah,
them. You can't do that. It drives them nuts.
Like I do
And-
social media marketing, so I have to be like on it.
Well, the other thing too is that's happened
It's like
is
you've got to
is
be
that-
like it is like, yeah, for like, and it's not like, and Brad, like it's not just people who are like content creators. Like a lot of people, right? Like me and Anna like run like a couple of accounts for companies, and so you have to be on there, and
on
then you
there.
have to look at other shit to like be whatever, see what people are doing and steal their ideas, which is, you know, the easy
One
way
of the
to
things-
do it.
one of the things that I-
GPT, you know, cook up some captions for you, but. So yeah, like it's tough to unplug, I guess, is what I'm saying.
one thing that I
my
think that's
happenstance
happened
end
too
up back on it.
is that all these things have eliminated people's ability to just sit and be bored. Like you'll never
Yeah.
see somebody sitting in a waiting room or anywhere without, you know, staring right at their phones. Where back in the day, you know, like the doctor's office used to have magazines to flip through. No
Yeah.
need for those anymore.
No.
You know.
Yeah. And even sometimes those magazines, you would look at them and be like, I'm not interested in any of this. I'd rather just stare at the wall.
Well, after
Yeah.
COVID, I look at those magazines and I'm like, you dirty, dirty magazines. Who's going to touch that? Especially in a doctor's office. No way. Get out of here.
So I used to be so good at doing nothing. Like I could, you know, just
Yeah.
sit and stare off into space. Like I remember, like when I was traveling, I was 18. It's like, oh, I have nothing to do for like a full, you know, 6 hours. Like
Or
I guess,
you'd read a book.
yeah, I'll read a book and like roll smokes, and like that'll eat up a lot of time, and like that'll be the
Yeah.
day. Like, and now it's like I would just
Yeah.
be on my phone.
Dude, I notice it the most when I find myself when I'm with my kids and I'm on my phone. And then I'm like, what am I doing here? Like,
Yeah.
this is, you know, what am I... To be in my defense, sometimes my kids are doing very boring stuff.
Sure, of course.
It's
I
not-
understand.
Not
Yeah.
engaging
So,
content.
Come on. It's not engaging content.
What you should do,
But
Brett,
no,
you need to
that's
become a
definitely-
family blogger. That's a totally healthy thing to
Oh,
do
dude.
to your kids.
It's
And I don't
so
think there'll
weird.
be any repercussions in the future. Just vlog everything your family's doing, Brad. Make a little bit of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. No, yeah. Make a tiny bit of money or get that extra dopamine hit from.
Yeah.
Oh, we're sponsored by fucking, you know, this diaper.
Yeah.
Use these diaper. We love these diapers. Ooh. It's so brutal, man. Parent internet sphere.
That's just
is
child abuse, man. It's brutal.
awful.
It's the worst.
It's so awful. It's a tough one in that sense that it's like, one, yeah, like the exploitation of your kids and like just putting your kids out there, and actually even like understanding now like the image capture stuff that's going on.
It's like your
that
kids aren't consenting to it. Like, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, go get a job, you lazy sack of shit.
There's that, and then it's just like there's so much like, yeah, just shit you don't need. You know, just products you don't need, things you don't need that they're trying to. But that's like,
But you know what? I mean,
base level gripe of social media.
We can talk about like how useful the advertising is. I've never bought Black Rightful coffee, the coffee made by Marines, and it is on a lot of podcasts. I don't know what's driving me?
Have you guys seen Mudwater yet?
You're a Black Rifle guy, Jerry.
I am not a
like
Black
that kind
Rifle.
of bro, you know?
If anyone knows how to make good coffee, it's Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
Ashley and I were talking about Mudwater. It keeps coming up on all over the place.
I've seen
like a mushroom tea. But we were chatting about it, and I have like it comes up all the time. It's like my most seen ad, and I was wondering like how much could a coffee company or whatever they're selling Mudwater, how much money did that cost them to get their ads just plastered? Like, would it be millions of dollars?
Yeah. Yeah, Mudwater, they're definitely that's like a crate. Yeah, they're spending millions of dollars.
That's insane.
To have like scroll ads placed.
Wild.
Yeah, it's big money for that for that ad space to get those many eyeballs.
I mean, like, yeah, but like that's once again like that's all social media is, right? Like it's a way to sell people shit. You know.
Yeah,
and
anything that's the business is keeping your eyeballs there is like, yeah, it's trying to sell you something. You know, it's eventually like, that's what the.
That's what it all is. Even like LinkedIn, where like they've done this great scam on people. It's like, oh, this is how you connect. This is how you get a fucking job. It's like, no, they're harvesting your data and selling it.
Yeah.
Like to people, like that's what I do. Like I get people like, oh, how'd you get all this information about me? It's like, oh, like I have a data scraper and it scraped your LinkedIn, and like now I have your cell phone number. And
who cares? Not me. I got some really. Who cares? I got a knife sharpener the other day on Instagram. It's amazing. It's a little rolling. It's called the Tumbler. Sharpened all my kitchen knives. I just bought a cat toy that acts like a wounded animal, and it's in the mail coming. This is fantastic.
I love this. Okay, this is interesting though, because it does show the kind of the duality of it, right? And because we all rightfully talk shit on social media, but I think there is a benefit to it. I don't know that it's exactly what you're saying, Matt, where it's like commercial, like now I just get all the shit, you know, that I need, you know, it's just boom, right there. I get that that's a benefit for you.
It's
but
huge.
I don't know if that's a benefit. Is it huge?
It's huge.
Is it huge having a cat toy that like,
when,
is that huge?
Yeah,
it's
huge.
Brad,
it's huge.
Don't minimalize this. This is
the fact that I can open a magic, this little thing that I keep in my pocket is this magic box. It has all the information I'd ever need about every single thing I'd ever want to learn about. And it shows me all these fancy things that I can just buy and have probably within 24 hours or 48 hours.
Matt, once again, for Brad, you're talking to a guy here who uses his $2,000 MacBook as an extra battery bank for his vape.
That's not true.
I've seen you do it, walking around with your vape plugged into your MacBook.
I quit that.
Is this the first time you've used your MacBook for other than nicotine
I quit
purposes?
That. I used to download my smokes off the internet, but I don't do that anymore.
I'm just saying, you're a real pigeon out there in the world, susceptible to marketing and.
He's not wrong though. He's not wrong. I'll give him this. He's not wrong. Like I do get, and when you were talking about like AI organizing your life and shit like this, like I get that. Like that's what I'm saying is like there is some kind of benefit to it, but it's like there's a balance obviously that needs to be struck, and I think that like people are beginning to have that conversation about it, but is it too far down? Like what are the next generations going to be, all that kind of stuff? These are all the interesting questions, and I just don't.
New generations will change with their attitudes. Like if you look at Facebook, it's like basically the raisin bin for all old farts now.
Yeah, no
like
one. It's just once again it's
your grandma's social media.
AI
Instagram's going to be maybe the millennials version of that, and then maybe the new kids. Like maybe there's a generation of kids that are growing up watching their parents glued to their screens, and they're going to say when they get to their teenage years, That's not cool. I don't want to do that. I'm unplugging.
But most likely those parents have given their kids iPads and they have like full reign access to social media.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Their
It could be-
dopamine centers are already burnt the fuck out.
It could go
I
both
think
ways.
it's different. I don't know. Yeah, I wonder because so let's say let's make a comparison or analogy or whatever, and say that it's like, okay, so if you grew up in a house where your parents were partying all the time, they were smoking cigarettes, they were drinking or something, you see
sound like
that
some pretty cool
behavior.
parents to me.
Yeah, those are cool ass parents,
Totally,
dude.
right? Totally.
Where's this
That's
going
what
down?
My kids are gonna, that's what my kids are gonna get. But the argument would be like, okay, you see the negative side of that, but maybe you go the other way.
Sure.
But I feel like, and I don't know,
Unless your parents let you do like bumps of coke while they were partying, and you will grow up to be a coke head.
as long as they're doing it in my house,
Yeah.
under my, but you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's more like you'll see the negative effects more acutely, whereas like social media use, it's like it's not going to be as obvious, and it's easier for a parent to give their kid a tablet, like you say, or a phone, like you say, than it is to give them a cigarette. Like no parent's going to give their kid a cigarette, but they'll give them a phone,
Except for the French.
There's like this. Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
The French will give their kids cigarettes, but lights only.
Yeah, and un petit peu de vin, huh? It's
The
not
baby
a
would like a
problem.
smoke, I mean.
Yes, it's okay.
Do you have another
They're 15,
better
they
way
can
for the
have
child to relax? I'd like to hear it.
Yes.
Well,
the way
you
it's
guys, you
culture,
guys
it's,
know my
Uptight
partner
America.
Ashley is a teacher, and she talks about seeing the effects of what do they call iPad kids, or whatever they are. I think there's a name for them, but
autistic.
well, they're actually behaving with like autistic like antisocial things, but they're not. They're just completely unsocialized because they've been basically from the time they were a baby to the early years of school, they just glued to a screen.
Yeah.
And if you've ever watched the kids programming, that like if the algorithm thinks you're a child and what it throws at you, it is mind-numbingly stupid. It's freaky. Like I thought
I don't know
Teletubbies
what
was
that says
bad.
about me because I got fed
gets
some Bluey videos and it really got me
gets
hooked.
worse.
So
Bluey's one of the good ones. Bluey's one of the good ones. Bluey's one of the good ones. But yeah, I found some interesting. We toned back our son's YouTube watching because at first I was like, oh, there's a YouTube Kids profile. That'll be cool. That he can get some cool stuff. And then there was like, I did notice that he was like agitated. When we turned off YouTube,
He didn't
would
like
get,
it.
Like
Yeah.
upset. Like it was like, and more upset than other things. And it was like, and there was videos where it was just like, it was a guy, just somebody with toys, just driving like a toy train set, for example, and just driving them around, and then just like crashing them or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was
Dude,
like something
Jared-
that was just so like
Jared,
I get why a kid would like it, I guess. The crashes were cool.
Yeah,
for
I
a
mean, as
while.
you
Him
say
and
it,
I
I'm like,
watched it
this does
together.
sound
I was
nice.
like, oh, he crashed it.
well, there was that guy
then
that
it
was doing
like,
the Kinder Egg opening reveals, and if you look at his streams, it's like in the billions, and all he does is open up Kinder Surprise eggs, and he doesn't even talk. It's just his hands opening the egg, and the streams on it is just.
he's
It's one of
making
the most.
$10 million a year opening eggs.
It's crazy. And then remember, Jared, you and I were talking about stupid ideas to make kids watch things on the internet, and we were just throwing ideas out there, and every single
we do be
idea I threw
hustling.
out there.
Listen, I'm not above,
That's right.
I'll
And
criticize it, but if there's a buck to be made, I will,
yeah, I'm in.
Well, I was trying to think of these ideas, and I was like, what are stupid kids gonna like to watch? And I was like, well, what if we bought some candies and melted them? I was like, has anybody done this? I went and YouTubed it. YouTube it right now. You'll see that there's millions of views of guys melting candies.
Melting candy, yeah.
So it's already been done.
God damn it.
Yeah.
A fresh idea.
There's people milking all this stuff. There's a guy that did a similar thing with Spotify, and he just like any combination of like dumb words that you could think of or names that you could think of, he made a stupid song about it. So it's like the Matt fart song or the Matt's a poopy head song.
I've heard that.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's made just dumb songs, minute-long songs out of all the
Every
things
single
that
name.
he could think of, and they get you know, people type it in and then they get, you know, you get hits and you get that. But yeah, I don't know. Thinking about the good thing about it, like I do think that some of the AI stuff, I wonder if it's blown out of proportion. The, you know,
like
well, in terms
the
of,
dangers of it.
not the dangers, but like the power of the, like something like ChatGPT, which is these large, what do they call it, language models or something like that, because it's based on probability and not, you know, intuition, not like actual thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that is kind of a smoke screen for actual artificial intelligence. It's not really artificial intelligence, and that like that's not going to be as big of a danger. But what really gets me is the social media stuff, and just the algorithms controlling what you see, and the fact that those algorithms are then controlled by like a handful of people. I feel like that information flow is more of a having someone that have their, you know, hand on the throttle of the information feels more dangerous to me.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's terrifying. I think, especially because I think we can be gamed so easily. I don't think we're as smart as we think we are. And once, you know, I don't know how easily brainwashable I am. And I like to think I'm not that brainwashable, but I am totally brainwashable.
We all do. We all like to think.
I know. And especially
yeah.
if you have like an AI or something that's playing a long game on the how you think and how you formulate your ideas about the world or your opinions about things. If you have, you know, just the subtle conditioning that these things would potentially be able to do, that's kind of a freaky thing to think about, especially because the people that are in control of these things are not elected by anyone. They're just these, well, so far they seem to be just a bunch of bro douchebags. And so it's kind of alarming.
But behind like the concentration of all this, like, you know, going back to, you know, Meta and the TikTok ban, right? Where, so TikTok is now being hosted in a Meta server.
So the data's all in their servers.
Yeah, the data. So like they sold like the data center. They haven't sold the algorithm, right? And
right, the algorithm's the big piece that China doesn't want out. Yeah.
Or like it's not even a fully Chinese company, right? Like it's owned 60% by international investment.
Right, but I heard that the algorithm was what they like.
That's the hot.
If they were going to get sold to if the U.S. made them sell to another U.S. company, the algorithm wouldn't go with it.
Yes.
It would just be the brand and stuff.
But you know, senators and politicians on both sides of the aisle all bought Meta stock before the ban. Right? Not so much they thought, because I feel like they knew that there was going to be this like short ban, and then the deal was they're going to move the server or the data storage into Meta, and that's going to bump up their stock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not even. So it's like, you know, it's not just corporations. Like it is the government. Not to be a conspiracy theorist, right? But
did you see that? Did you see
that? There's like I think the government, anything's going to regulate it, I think is. Foolish.
Yeah. No. Did you see that? There's that. I think it's an app. It's called like PolitiTracker or something like that.
Unusual Whales.
No, it basically it tracks senators' investments.
Unusual Whales was not. I didn't think it would be a political app.
Well, the first one was the guy who, like, the PolitiTracker came from a guy's like blog called Unusual Whales, where he would just post every like politician's
stock
buys. They're buying or selling, and then now it's set up that you can basically input how much that you're willing to trade or buy or sell, and it'll just automatically do it for you. Basically, if Pelosi sells something or buys something,
Nancy Pelosi was the greatest stock traders of all time.
Yeah,
she's up like 200. She's up like I think like 90% this year.
It's perfect. She's amazing.
I'm rubbing my temples because it's so.
Nothing's corrupt
and
here,
so
Brad.
this is what I'm saying. When I digest shit like this all fucking day, it like riles me up. And then I just do like a demonic info dump on Anna, and then walk away. I'm like, oh, I feel better.
Mic drop. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, what? Please stop doing this.
I definitely do that to my significant other as well, where it's just like she'll even say something and just like, and it just, well,
actually,
did you know that actually, and then
yeah,
and it just
it all comes
away.
out, yeah.
Ashley does this terrible thing to me when I'm on about something. She sticks her hands up in the air about a meter apart, and she slowly starts bringing her hands together, and that's to let me know that's the window of time I have to get everything out.
Hold on, and the thing is, which you don't understand actually, and what it's going to do, I think the ramifications long term are going to be like. We're going to say one more thing.
It's a power move. It's a power move.
That's such a good move.
It takes the wind out of your sails. It'll take your wind right out of your
Clever
sails.
girl.
As soon as someone puts the clock on you,
Yeah. Put a shot clock on your bullshit. God
Yeah,
damn.
I know. It's a nightmare.
But this is so. I was going to before you said that, Jared. I was going to say well, I think the problem here is a regulation problem. There's got to be like a regulation problem. But
if the government,
as you say,
if people in the government's lively or like they can make a fuckload of money by like not enforcing any sort of regulation, like it's
the other thing to think about too is like so far we're seeing a lot of things that are just seem like we're getting it wrong. Like things are getting worse. Depression's going up. People are getting addicted to these things because they're getting their dopamine fixes. At some point along the line, some country,
furries. Everyone's becoming a
some
furry.
country or group of
These things
people
are on
is
the
going to
rise.
come up with a better system and I don't know exactly what they're going to do or what that's going to look like, but they're going to do something differently. And we can potentially be able to follow the lead. Like I don't think this is going to be
after the
this isn't going to be a
horse
descent
shit
forever
epidemic
all the way
of like London or what?
down the toilet. I don't know where this is going, and it's good. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But at some point along the line, I'm hopeful that we're going to see some positive changes or new ways to interact or
I think we're going to need one
pivots.
big solar storm to wipe out all the power grids, and then
Hey man,
everyone
maybe
can not be on their phones.
maybe that'll happen too. Like Ashley and I, when we go camping, it's amazing. Well, when our phones are just no service, you do notice the difference pretty quickly, especially if you're out there for a few days. 3 days.
You get a longer shot clock or no?
Oh yeah, well, she's bored. She's bored. She can't just look at her phone, so she'll listen
she
to me.
has to listen to it.
I'll pace
no
back and
content.
forth. I'll pace back and forth by that fire, and she's just looking at me in awe, captivated by the depth of my knowledge on all.
Captive audience.
Yeah.
I bring out a bunch of cue
Bring
cards
your
when we go
family to the
camping,
woods.
and
That's
I
right.
emulate TikTok posts. I draw things, and then I go from one to the other, and it's an analog TikTok that I've developed.
I like to describe to Ashley metal detecting videos and what they found and how deep down they were.
Matt, we don't need to get into your guys' sex life. I don't need to hear about your dirty talk.
Don't get me started on mudlarking then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I am optimistic as well. I think it's just my nature. I'm optimistic, and I think that the fact that we're having the conversation, people are having these conversations in higher up places. The fact that it's on our radar obviously means that other people are thinking about it. You know what I mean?
But I don't think the people having the conversations higher up have anyone's greater good in mind.
No.
I think it's
but I mean, no, I think. Yeah, that was one thing I was going to say is if government's not going to do it, how do you do it? You have to get, but it's the same thing with smoking, right? It's the same. The governments were fine to keep smoking around.
Right.
Nine out of 10 doctors smoke Camel cigarettes. Did you know that?
I guess
That's right.
I guess if it does become really detrimental to society, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm assuming one of the big reasons for banning smoking is that it was causing mass amounts of money to the health system, right?
Yeah, and I also do think that there was just concerned people that stood up, and there is people Facebook whistleblower, there's people that are making content, and they used to work for these companies, and the guy that made that documentary about Facebook or social media, I can't remember his name, Tristan something, whatever. But anyway, so there is people it's coming, right?
Do we need a
And the
Mothers
fact that,
Against social media, like a MAD?
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's something that's really fun that we don't do anymore. Drunk driving. Yeah.
Wait, you don't do that anymore?
I mean, I've cut back. Only on weekends.
Only on weekends. I delete the app on the weekdays.
And by
But,
delete the app, I mean
yeah.
I had my car taken away. So.
Yeah. But yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and maybe that's it. Like maybe it is that sort of groundswell thing, and and you see how long it takes for things to actually change because like smoking is still a thing, right? Like it's still something that society and the public health agencies are fighting against. It's obviously
But now
It's
it
also-
has nicotine
that's also
pouches
too-
instead of smoking.
Yeah, it's also
right? So
something
it's
we're
like
all still
more-
enjoying as well. It's costing us money in the health departments, but it's also causing us to chill out and just be so nice.
So maybe
having a
that's.
good
I mean,
time.
like, yeah, I'm big on the nicotine pouches, right? So I've gotten
But
rid
okay,
of
so
the
then-
harmful part of
Right, so-
tobacco, but I'm still getting the benefits of it, which is
And I think
what
some of the
want,
best thinking
nicotine.
that's ever been done has been done under the
So-
influence of nicotine. I bet
I
if you were
agree.
to go through the history books and you look at all of the great things mankind has come up with, I would bet you
caffeine.
Stephen
bet
King
you-
was big on
Maybe the other one.
smoking.
nicotine
He's
and
like, smoking rules.
caffeine, they're big. They've helped us get to where we've got.
Agreed.
If you want a really interesting,
I'm a nicotine
let me-
maximalist, for sure.
Let me give you this one, and before we start winding it down here. But Michael Pollan, author, wrote a book. This is Your Mind on Plants, I think it's called.
Okay.
And the chapter there's a section. It's like 3 sections: opium, caffeine, and mescaline, I think. But the caffeine one was fascinating for just this exact thing, and it makes sense. But you realize that it's like we're all addicted to caffeine. We're 100%. Like most of the society is addicted to caffeine, and the point at where like caffeine was introduced, the change in culture was it was like around the Renaissance, in Europe, and the Arab countries were using it before then, and like it's a really interesting, again, think about information and the things that like influence our information and where our knowledge and all this stuff comes from. There's all these layers to it, and something as simple as caffeine or nicotine is one of them. The thing that I wanted to end on, well, I guess we'll end on it because we're getting near the end, but we talked about like irritability and stuff, and like, yeah, okay, maybe we're not feeling that.
Get to your point, Brad.
But I think there is something to be.
Matt, start pushing your hands together.
It was so
Give him the
good.
window.
It was so classic, but so good. Don't do the window. Don't.
Yeah.
I was like, there has to be something, maybe even subliminal. We were talking about the violence. Let's just look at the violence that you see on social media. Like that has to do something to you. And
Yeah,
Matt,
it's-
we've had the text conversations where it's just like I've never seen, like something that someone would only see in war. Like 30, 40 people dying. It's like I just saw a building blow up with
Matt,
probably 100 people in it.
I watched a video on Reddit of hand-to-hand combat in Ukraine. These two guys have a knife fight. It was one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But mankind's
And,
always
like-
done this. Like the Colosseum ran a solid business for 500 years of 2 shows a week of people just getting hacked to death. Bloodsport. Look at the Dana White.
And look what
is
happened to
is
Rome.
now,
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm just saying, every single culture, we have a bloodlust. I don't know what it is, but people have always been fascinated by looking at violence.
It's true. It's true. You're not wrong. And like Dan Carlin did an episode about painfotainment. I think he
yeah.
called it. Yeah, that is true. That like it's not that unheard of. But again, to think of it in terms of the way that the information is being delivered, where it's like these bits of it and it's just constant. Whereas.
Oh, the streams I find sometimes hilarious.
You had to go to a Coliseum.
You had to go see it,
And it was
yeah.
the big event, and it was at and this. It was this thing.
Now you could watch it
There's all
on
this
your
stuff
couch. You can watch
around
the
it.
Coliseum
And now you
in your
just-
underwear.
Yeah, or again, I think about it when I'm with my kids. My kids are watching TV or something, and I'm sitting there looking at my phone. And I'm just like, the stuff that I'm seeing,
Yeah.
on my couch when my children are right there. It's like there's this juxtaposition sometimes that I'm just like, whoa.
Well, so
Yeah.
on
This is
on
so
your
weird.
Instagram, and when you go to what is it? This with where it shows you all of the stuff at the same time.
Yeah, the For You page.
The For You page, where it's just all stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can click on one, and then you can and it'll show you a video, and then you just flip up and it's another video. Like you don't know what you don't know what next video you're gonna get. So I burst out laughing.
Don't do that.
I burst out laughing the other day because I really like these like cat videos, cats doing funny things. That's what I mind. That's what I mind for Ashley. I'm always trying to give her. I try to give you guys the gayest stuff I can find, or or whatever. But Ashley is really into the cats. Term. Yeah, you know what I'm mining these gems out of here. But I was flipping through and it was like cat video, Ukrainian getting killed with a drone, another cute cat video. It's like how they sandwich it in there. It's like wow. It's just really, it made me laugh. I was like, that is so weird. I'm watching cute kittens, and then all of a sudden I see somebody get blown up with a drone.
It's like, it knows what you really want.
It's like, who did that?
Yeah. The algo, baby.
The algo. And that's why I need Silvio in my ear fighting those little things away. You know, I want my AI integrated into all of my systems, and I want him protecting me and guiding me through and just giving me the stuff I need. Mudlarking and metal detecting. And cats. And gay stuff for you guys.
There's something to be said about leaning into it as the solution. I do get that. I don't know that I'm totally sold on that, because there is this idea of like you're giving up too much free will, but I think we're already probably beyond that anyway. Mm-hmm. And I think it's with any technology, you could look at this. People probably had these discussions back in the day, but
people just had the discussions about like
books.
Cable television during during Jerry Springer days. Everyone was like, "Well, this is the end of society."
When novels
society
came out,
clearly gone to shit.
People are losing their minds about novels. The young kids reading books all the time. They're poisoning their brains. When the novel form came out of books, people were freaking out about it.
Should have been reading the Bible.
Times change. Things are weird.
Yeah, but so let's just quickly to end. Optimistic. I'm putting my hand up for optimistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Matt's got his hand up for optimistic.
Absolutely. We're gonna be fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Jared's out.
Everything's fine. Nothing's fucked here.
Disagree.
I mean, that's a good ending. That's a good ending. Leave it there.